So as true TDD and BDD enthusiasts, we start with tests first. If you remember, just import everything and auto-mocks it. So we need to turn that auto-mocking off, either with just don't mock or just auto-mock off, which I'm using here. And then I'm hard coding some of the rooms for testing. It's okay to have hard coded data. We don't want to have separate testing database or testing collection in the database for this small unit test. So I would have the name node for one room, and the underscore ID, those are values from the database. So I just copied whatever I had in the database and put it here. Okay, let's add one more framework. Then we'll be good to go with our unit tests. I always like to start with unit tests first. They define what I need to implement. So the test utils, it's a special library from the React add-ons collection of libraries that will enable us to test visual UI components without spinning up any browsers or headless browsers. Then we also need React and React DOM. And I'm using require, which is a common.js/Node.js syntax. So those are NPM modules. And autocomplete, I'm also using require, and I'm pointing to that file in the source. But I'm pointing to the compiled version. So if you don't have a compiled version, you just have JSX, you need to build that first in order for you to run the tests. And then FD is just for brevity and eloquence. That stands for Find DOM Node. Okay, so now autocomplete is rendered with render into documents. And we use in React.create, passing autocomplete, which we imported, with options such as rooms and the URL. So the URL really doesn't matter, the rooms we provided. So what it will do, it should render the list of rooms. Option name equals test utils, and then I'm finding using the class. So the first argument is autocomplete, that's what we've rendered, and then option name, that will be the class of our option, one of those frameworks. Now the test itself, describe autocomplete, it should have 4 initial options. And in the callback, define the options. Again, we're using test utils. And then in the rendered component, we would search for that list of options. And the class is option list item. So we should have 4 of them. Expect option.length to be 4. Okay? Because we have 4 items in the array. So that's where the number 4 comes. Probably the better way would be to use rooms.length instead of hard-coding 4. Second test suite is it changes options based on the input. So once I start typing, the number of options should decrease based on the matching criteria, because not all of them will match R, or only one of them will match R. It will be a React. So to simulate the typing, we would use testutils.simulate.change, and we're passing that object. with the value R. Then we check in for that value. Yes, in fact, it's R. Now we get in the list of options again by using this render DOM components with class function. An option list item with the class that all of the option has. So now we should have just one. We also can check that the text matches #React. Close everything. One more test. It offers to save an option. So the save button must be there if you don't have any matches. So this time we need to come up with some value that none of the options will match. This value is Ember. Again, we're using simulate change to put that value. This will be similar to typing in the browser. And now we get in the list of options again. It should be empty, 0, zip, nada, because nothing matches Ember. We don't have that framework in our initial list of 4. So we expect options.length to be 0. And then we should also check for the save button or save option. So option add equals test utils, find render DOM component with class. And let's say class is option-add. And we expect find DOM node of option add to have the text content of add #Ember. So the name that you typed must be on the button as well. So that's one of the specs. So I've created opened app.jsx and let's start implementing it. This will be a very small app, small file. All it will do is just import the libraries and render our component, which is in another file, in autocomplete file. It will render that component into the appropriate DOM element. So autocomplete equals require. That's how we would require a file. We'd use // It's not a module, it's not an npm module, it's not in node_modules, it's just a file in a current folder. That's why we're using dot. On Windows systems, you might want to tweak it a little bit, maybe use another type of /. And then in React DOM render, we are specifying options or property options equals to rooms and URL. Those two things will be given to us in a global scope. So the rooms will be the data, how many rooms we have initially, and the URL would be where is our server basically. It will be localhost port 3000 in this project. And then autocomplete ID, that's what we need to have in our HTML. But we're going to use handlebars.